Good morning, everybody. Happy Thursday and welcome to your maths session for today. As you can see, we're continuing our learning with position and direction. We only have, this is your last taught lesson in this unit because tomorrow is going to be a bit of an end of term recap to make sure that I say end of term, an end of unit recap. So it's going to be a recap of all of the things that you've done so far with position and direction. Okay. Next week's going to look a little bit different. We're going to talk about that on Monday before you come back into school, yay, and we start teaching you actually with us in front of you again and not rambling on. Okay, so first things first, I just want you to do a bit of a rewind. What do we call this here? So I've got two numbers within a bracket, and then they are divided by comma. Well, not divided by, they are separated by comma. So what is this called first? To kind of recap on everything that we've done so far. Hopefully, you have said that they are coordinates. An S at the end. Okay, so these are coordinates. Now, the coordinates give us a point on a grid reference. Here is my grid reference. Okay, and the coordinates show me the point, or give me a point in which to go. I know that I go horizontal first. So the first number shows me the horizontal, so I will go across to the 3, and then the second number shows me my vertical axis, so I'm going to go up to the number 2. So I always go horizontal first, and then up vertical secondly. Okay, so I've got my two numbers. So here is my grid reference. I use my coordinates in order to find a position on that grid. Okay, we normally find that position either as a dot, okay, and we have been also plotting different coordinates within a grid, making shapes and also moving along the grid. Okay, now yesterday we had a go at moving from one point along the grid to another, and we used the language of just up, down, left and right and left even. Okay, so we're going to do a little bit more of that today. Yesterday we were just having a go at moving along that grid and just seeing what happens when we move, okay, using that kind of language. Today, bigger focus on actually describing what is happening when we're moving. So across the top here of the screen, I've given you this as a bit of a reference to use because this is the language that we're going to be using. We're going to be using up, down, right and left. So that's a bit of a recap. Okay, now I'm going to introduce you to a new word that we wanted to use. So we've got our coordinates here. So yesterday we were going from one coordinate to another. And what we call that, where the movement between those coordinates, is called a translation. In my turn, translation, your turn. Perfect. Translation is the movement between two coordinates. So for example, if I start from 3, 2, and I want you to move from 3, 2, 2.37, the translation between those two coordinates is 5 up, because I have moved 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 squares up. Okay, so this bit here in red, the arrow that I am describing is called the translation. It is the movement between this coordinate and this coordinate here. Okay, now, for example, if we continue that, if I wanted to go from 3, 7, there's my point, and I want to move from 3, 7 to 6, 5, I want to move now to a new coordinate, I want to move to 0.65, I'm going to use this translation. So I'm going to use 3 right, so I'm going to remind myself that this is the way to the right, so I'm going to move 1, 2, 3 to the right, okay, then I am going to go 2 down, I'm going to go 1, 2 down, and then I should end up at the 0.65. Okay, so I just want you to remember that the movement between one coordinate to another is called the translation. Okay, now that's just a big word for saying up, down, right and left. It's just those positional language and directions to move from one coordinate to another. Okay, right, so that's what we're going to be using today. We're going to be describing this movement. If I just show you my new page, look at that, I've got it already. Okay, so this is our movements today. This is what we're going to be looking at. Okay, so like I said, we're going to be describing movements across a grid. Okay, now we've got Lewis here. Now Lewis wants to meet Jamila. So I can see Lewis. He is stood on First Avenue at the minute. Now it's starting to look a little bit different. So this is still kind of in the shape of a grid, but now I've got no grid references. I've got no numbers on here. Okay, so the point of our discover now is just to focus on that language, on those translations, up, down, right and left. Okay, so Lewis is here, stood in First Avenue between 2nd Street, between 2 buildings on 2nd Street. Okay, Lewis could write his journey to Jamelia, which is here. Okay, look at these points, as 2 to the right, so 1, 2 to the right, and 1 down. Okay, if Jamelia went to Lewis instead, I want you to write down what are the translations that Jamelia could use instead. So, for example, Lewis can go 1, 2 to the right, and 1 down. If Jamelia went to Lewis, what would she write? So I just want you to pause the screen here and just write that down for me. Okay, hopefully you can tell me that Jamelia could go 1, 2 to the left, and 1 up. So the opposite. Okay, so if Jamelia was to meet Lewis, she could go the opposite way. Okay, now Zach, who is at the top here on 2nd Avenue, Zach wants to meet Isla. He's not sure which of these is the correct journey. So now we've got 2 translations to choose from. Okay, so Zach could go 2 to the right and 1 down, or he could go 1 down and 2 to the right. Which one do you think is correct? Have a pause here, have a think. Okay. Hopefully, you're all screaming at the screen, telling me you can do both. Both of those are correct. Both of those translations, both get them to Isla, get Zach to Isla. He could go 2 to the right and down, and he will make it. He could go down and 2 to the right. Okay, because if we look at our share screen here, okay, it's the same journey, whether you go down first or the right first. Okay, both journeys are the same because you're still going 2 right and 2 down, just in the opposite way. So either 2 right and 1 down, or 1 down and 2 right. I'm still going right 2 times. I'm still going down once. It doesn't matter which way it goes down. Exactly the same as Lewis and Jamelia. She could go to the left first and up, or Lewis just could go to the right and down. Okay. So all we've done there is just used exactly the same thing as I showed you with that first slide. It is those translations. The translations just describing that journey between one point and another, using the directional language of up, down, right, and left. Okay. Right. What I want you to do now is I want you to just have a look at this thing together. Excuse me. So I'm just going to get rid of the bottom bit of the screen so we can see. Okay, we've got a very similar setup, grid setup to the first one. Okay, now the 4 friends decide that they all meet at the cafe, which is here. Okay, so the cafe is at point X. Now, firstly, I just want you to describe Zach's journey. Now here you can see we've got a box, a line, a box, a line. What do you think we're going to put in the boxes first? Okay, we're going to put the numbers in the boxes, the number of times they are going to move. Then on the line, we're going to put the direction of the journey they're going to take. So we're going to go through the first one together. So our turn together. Zach is here and he needs to get to the cafe. Okay. Where should we start? Okay, we can go down first, can't we? Okay, so I'm going to go down first. I'm going to go 1, 2 down and 1 block to the right. Is there another way I could have done it? Perfect. Some of you might have said 1 to the right and 2 down. Okay, because similarly to the Discover question, we're going down 2 times and we're going to the right 1 time. We've just switched up the order in which they take those directions. Okay, so Zach's journey could be 1 right, 2 down, or 2 down, 1 right. Okay, happy? Let's have a quick look at this bottom one then here. Now, Isla has taken her journey as 1 left, 1 down. So here is Isla, and she thinks she's going to go 1 left, 1 down. Okay. Now, Zach thinks her journey is 1 down, 1 left. Who is right? This, again, is very, very similar to that Discover question. They're both right. They are both right because, again, we've taken the same journey. We're still going to arrive at the cafe, but we've just swapped order in which the direction in which we're going to use those translations. We've just swapped the order of the translations. We still go down. We still go left once. We've just swapped them round. Okay. Right. What I would like you to get on with now I'm going to, hopefully, if you've collected your pack, you'll have this in your pack. If not, it will be on her story for you. But this is your job today. Again, very, very similar to everything we've gone through already. Okay, so what we're going to be doing is describing that movement on the grid. We've got a very, very similar kind of grid setup. Okay, this time we've got 3 different people and they are in a library. So these blocks here denote bookshelves in a library. We've got Alex here, say she's going to meet Danny. Okay, she's going to count the shelves, again, like we were just doing with the buildings, we're counting those blocks. Okay, I will count shelves. I need to go 2 right and 2 down. So I firstly need to find out where Alex is. Alex is here. Okay, and she wants to meet Danny. So she's going to go 2 to the right, 1, 2, and 1 down. Okay, so she's given us her translation. She wants to go 2 right, 1 down. Okay, now you just need to describe each of these journeys in terms of their translation between points. So all I want you to do now is Andy goes to meet Danny. She's already told us how many is she going to go left, how many is she going to go down. Then Danny is going to meet Alex. So this time, instead of giving you the left and the down, this time it's making you choose that. But now it's saying Danny is going to meet Alex. Which way would Danny go? Okay, pop those in there. And then Danny goes to meet Andy. This time it's taken away the boxes. That's not to say that you don't need to write a number down, you do, but it's taken away that little scaffold each time. Here it's telling you, right, I'm telling you the direction. I need you to know how many blocks. Now it's not telling you either. Here it's expecting that you are going to be able to put those numbers and the direction in yourself. Okay, so it's taking that little bit of scaffold each step. Okay, so this bit, I have no worries whatsoever. You're going to be able to use that language of up, down, left, and right, okay, in order to find the translation between these points. Remember, Danny needs to go to meet Alex, and then Danny meets Andy, okay? And the last one. Here, it's giving you, here it's telling you you've got to do it in 2 steps. Here, it's not giving you anything. Obviously, just go through and using the same points. It's just taking away that scaffold each time. Now it's saying, well, can you describe it all by yourself without needing to know how many steps it's going to take? Okay. Right, and question 2, we're going back to using this grid reference now. Okay, so this is very similar to yesterday's learning where we've got our grid reference, our grid here. We've got our points on the grid, and we're just going from this letter to this letter. So this time it's just asking us to go from one letter to another. It's exactly the same. The maths is staying the same. It still wants us to write the translations between these 2 journeys. All it has done is given it us in a different way. Okay. It still wants us to tell us whether it's going up, down, right, or left. So for example, to go from A to B, it's telling me that I could go 1 to the right and 3 up, or I could go 3 up and 1 to the right. I could do either of those journeys. All it's asking you to do here again is which route would you choose? Go from B to A. It's giving you the boxes for the numbers. It's giving you a line for the direction. It's telling you you need to. It's doing the same for B to C. Here it has taken away the boxes for the numbers, but it doesn't mean it doesn't expect a number. It's still expected to do that. It's expecting by C that it is embedded enough that you understand how a translation works in order to know that there needs to be a number and the direction. Okay, and then for E and F, it's taken away the fact that there's going to be 2 points, but it's hoping that this is now your understanding is embedded enough for you to know, right, I need 2. I can't get there in 1. So even though it's not got a comma here, I'm going to put 1 in myself. Okay. And then we've got Rena. She's going to use the same here. Hang on, let me just check 1 second. Okay, so Rena, her journey, first I moved 3 right and 2 up, then I moved 1 left and 1 up. Okay, what would be her complete journey? So her complete journey would be 3 right, 2 up, 1 left, 1 up. Okay? That's all it's trying to get you to put it all together. So here we've gone from just 2 points, 2 translations, and now it's understanding that sometimes there will be more than 2. Okay, there's going to be more than two translations between points. Okay, and then we've got the challenge. Remember, I cannot stress this enough. The challenge is there to deepen your thinking. If you have been really comfortable with questions 1, 2, and 3, okay, and when I say comfortable enough that you found it a little bit challenging, but you've been able to have a go, think for yourself, and find some kind of strategy to recap your learning in order to help you, then please do have a go at this challenge. Okay, if you've really struggled on question 1, 2, and 3, okay, and you don't quite understand fully what we mean by the words translation or coordinates, please don't do the challenge. Please let me or Miss Nook know so we can help you a little bit more, because there's no point in moving on to this higher order of thinking if we've not embedded this yet. I'd rather go over this and give you some more questions in order to help you embed it than move on to this. Okay, but I will go through the challenge, because if you do go on to the challenge, absolutely amazing. Well done for aiming high as well. Okay, so this chess piece here in the middle can be moved to any of the squares marked with the circle. So we've got lots of squares across the circle. How would you describe each of these moves? So all you need to do is use any of those translations that you've already worked out. So for example, one move could be 1, 2 up, 1 right. That's going to get me to 1 circle. Okay, and you just need to describe how this one chess piece would get to each circle. Okay. Finally, you'll reflect. You know that numbers describe a movement, for example, 5 left and 2 up. How would you describe the opposite movement that would take you back to your starting position? Okay, so if using this example here, 5 left and 2 up, what would be the opposite movement to take you back to your starting position? Okay, as always, please do send us that on your Class Dojo page so we can go through it. Like I said before, if you are stuck on any of those questions 1, 2, or 3, then please do let us know so we can help you out, okay, and give you a little bit of feedback. And that's it from me today. See you all very soon. Bye.